Welcome to the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. My name is Tanner Kern, certified G, bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. In this right here, this is G Money Grant Mitchell. We are here breaking down everything you need to know about the NFL slate yesterday. It was wild, and you can't teach that. Bada boom, man of the people in the room. G Money Grant Mitchell, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I had a really good weekend. Got to go down to the alma mater, Virginia Tech, catch a football game there. Bumped into one of my old roommates, just completely randomly. Did not hit him up, did not text him or anything. After the game, I was walking into the Chick-fil-A. He was walking out of the bathroom, and we just stopped. So that was cool. Hung out for a couple of hours. On Sunday, I know you don't watch soccer, but my soccer team won. Shout out Chelsea. We beat Newcastle 2-1. And then, obviously, one of the biggest results of the weekend, the Commanders get one of the most dramatic wins you'll ever see. So it was a very good weekend overall. I have nothing to complain about.
When you saw your old roommate, was his like, yo, we got to hang sometime, man. You know that when you have no intention of hanging with them, but it's like, we'll dap him up, be like, yeah, we got to hang.
I don't know if we said it that nerdy, but no, we were excited. Like, he's a cool dude. I haven't seen him in a while because he actually lives down in Miami. He used to live in D.C., but he moved down to Miami. And this was actually the first football game he'd been back to since the 3 years he graduated. It was my first football game I'd been back to. And again, we did not plan this at all. He was just walking out of the bathroom as I was walking into Chick-fil-A. So totally random. Funny how life works sometimes.
Yeah, no, that's like reunions though for me or something. Like when you see somebody, it's like, yo, man, we gotta hang out. Let's play some golf sometime. Like, let's play some. You had no intention of ever playing golf with that person.
Yeah, we got to kick it sometime. And he lives in Miami. Like,
yeah, man, I'll text you. I'm not texting you.
That's my guy, though. If he's watching this for whatever reason, that's my guy.
No, I'm not saying like they can be your guy, but like just at reunions and stuff or whatever, when you see people you haven't seen in a while, you're like, yeah, we should hang. Like that's what everyone says, and you never do.
Yeah, it's a bunch of empty promises.
Yeah, and you both know it too. Like,
how was your weekend, Tanner?
It was good. It was good. You know, yesterday, LSU was tough the way they faded late in that game. UConn went over 4.5 wins, though that was good.
I saw you made a quick 1,000 off of that.
Yeah, that was good. The NFL slate was not great for me. My props were good, but I didn't play every prop that I should have played probably. The straight bets were okay, I guess, not great. Like I need the Steelers +3 and a teaser tonight +3.5. So hopefully that comes through to save the weekend a little bit. But it was good. You know, solid weekend watching football.
Hey, Tanner, you know how we always tell people to check out WSN.com here?
Yes.
So as I always do every week, wrote picks against the spread in little 3-paragraph briefs about every game, picked every spread. On Sunday, I went 11-3 against the spread.
There you go. That's awesome.
So if you guys are watching this video and you have not been to WSN.com, not only do we have promo codes to make sports betting a more fun and exciting experience, we've also got game previews and prop picks, and we've also got those winning spread bets, 11-3 against the spread on Sunday. So go check it out, WSN.com.
11-3 against the spread, and we're going to recap a lot of these games right now, starting with the Eagles and the Bengals. I think this is one we could spend a minute or two on. I'm not saying the Bengals are done yet, but how they faded in this game was very scary. The Eagles started to look good. I still don't trust the Eagles by any means. I think it's more the Bengals defense being bad. But my biggest takeaway from this game is just how bad of a coaching decision it was to go for it on 4th and 1 from the 40-yard line to start the fourth quarter. That was a terrible move. And then the play call was also terrible.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. My biggest takeaway was just what you said. I thought the word you used was perfect. They faded. And that's what the Bengals did. They are still yet to play a complete game this season. And the first quarter and a half, you can say even the first half, the Bengals kind of looked like the better team. You know, they came out to a nice start. They were able to move the ball. You know, Burrow had the interception in this game, but other than that, he played pretty well. The defense was getting some stops early, and then they just capitulated. The Eagles didn't score in the first quarter, which is still extremely concerning. They still have not scored in the first quarter this season, but then they scored 37 points in the next 3 quarters. During last week's show on Thursday, on Friday, I had said the Eagles had not played. They had not had a good performance this entire season, whether in a win or a loss. by far the best performance of the season for them. And they're 5-2. You know, we've talked about the whole season. They've not looked good. Well, they're now 5-2, and it's going to take a lot for them to miss the playoffs. And as good as the Commanders have been playing, they're only a half game behind them. So when Washington takes its week off, if Philly wins that game, you know, it could be a tie in this division.
Yeah, I mean, not much to say here. The Bengals just still haven't put together the complete game. I think Zach Taylor's coaching hasn't been great. It was realistically a 7-point game in the fourth quarter when that happened. They were down 7. If you punt the ball there and play defense and make them drive the field, never know, you go down and tie it if you get the ball back. So just bad coaching there. Are the Bengals done, Grant, officially?
It's so tough because in any other season, I mean, they started 1-4. They're now 3-5. They're 0-4 at home. So I really should be saying, yes, they're done. But if you look at the standings, they're 3-5. They're in the ninth spot. You've got the Colts just ahead of them at 4-4. I think they're better than the Colts. And then the Chargers at 4-3. I think they'll miss the playoffs at this point, but I can't say they're done. No. Burrow said it himself in the postgame. We got to win 7 of our final 10 games. That sounds doable. And he's right. The Bengals can do that.
Yeah, no, 100%. 0-4 at home is definitely scary. Looking at their remaining schedule, 7 of their final 10, I would say if you're going to get 7 for sure, Raiders. I think they can beat the Ravens on the road. I do. The way they played against them last time. Being
Lamar
generous
in his career, I believe, has been very bad against the Bengals as well, if I'm not mistaken.
So being generous there, let's give them that win. There's 2. You're going to beat the Chargers. There's 3. If you get a little momentum, you might beat the Steelers there. You're going to split with, let's call it a split with the Steelers. So say they win the first one. That's 4. You beat the Cowboys. That's 5. You beat the Titans. That's 6. And then Browns, Broncos, Steelers. So you can get to 7. It's going to take a couple close wins, but it's definitely doable.
It's doable. I would say it's unlikely just because they've been so underwhelming. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the Bengals are a good team. They are a bad team, but they're not dead. They've got too much talent, particularly at the quarterback spot.
Yeah. And no T. Higgins yesterday either. So that didn't help their cause. Didn't make a difference, but didn't help the cause. Cleveland versus Baltimore, Grant. We have Jameis Winston. This was a game that I thought Cleveland would cover in, but Jameis Winston coming out and winning it was pretty surprising. 334 yards. They kept Derrick Henry in check. This was the best version of the Browns. We kind of knew that. So I'm not overly surprised that they played better with Jameis than they did with Deshaun. Are you?
No, not at all. I've been saying since last season, maybe even the season before, that they needed to make the coaching change. And now I've been saying all season they need to put Jameis in there. He's clearly better than Deshaun. In his first start for the Browns, he had a 300-yard game, and not just 301. He had 334. Deshaun had never thrown for 300 as a starter for the Browns. 3 touchdowns, no picks. He had an 85 QBR. It was just a world of difference. This looked like a complete football team. This was the first time all season the Browns scored more than 20 points, which in week 8 is just ridiculous that we have to even say. Now, all that being said, the Ravens should have won this game. How many interceptions are they going to drop? At the end of the game, Lamar has that amazing pass to Bateman for 50 yards, hits him directly, like right in the center of his chest, and he drops it. So I don't put this on Lamar. The Ravens should have won this game. Lamar played very well. But when you give yourself a chance, you're going to win some of those games. And the Browns with Deshaun had no chance. Jameis gives them a chance. And it's not just him. It's the fact you were changing from one quarterback to another, kind of like when you fire your coach. And also Jameis is a guy that people like. They're going to rally for him. So I'm with you. I picked the Browns to cover. Didn't expect them to win, but it's not shocking to me. This is the type of game the Ravens lose. You know, they win 5 straight. They look like the scariest team in the league. They lose to the Browns. It's what they do.
Yeah, Jameis had an electric pregame speech to the quarterbacks, and he was like, "We got to play for the name on our helmet. Oh, we don't have a logo, but you know what I mean."
But did you see the one with the sideline reporter? He's like, unwavering faith, full belief in the Lord. He's just a dude. That's what he is. He's a dude.
All right, Grant, this is an interesting one to talk about because people were not heckling us. Let's say heckling us in the comments for saying that the New York Jets are done, which that will be the title of this episode once again, because it has to be. But the New York Jets now are officially done. You have the Patriots, who did Drake May didn't even play the full game. Am I right? Yeah, Jacoby
He threw
Brissett.
6 passes.
Yeah, okay. Because I saw him get hurt in fantasy. I didn't watch this game. I don't care about the Patriots anymore. But when you look at this football game, you are the Patriots who, like, I saw a graphic on Twitter. It was like a meme. Lowest expectations in franchise history for the New England Patriots against the Jets, who have the highest expectations in their franchise history. And they don't win this football game. Aaron Rodgers, 17 28, 233, 2 touchdowns. Like, when you look at the box score, I don't know how the Jets lost the football game. Did you watch it?
I watched bits and pieces. I was on red zone, so I was bouncing back and forth. I mean, the Jets did more. You look at the total yardage; they had 336. New England only had 247. New England was great on third down. I will give them that. And with a backup quarterback who I guess started the year, so not your traditional backup, but still going to your second string quarterback to have that level of efficiency, 7 of 15 on third down, 1 of 1 on fourth down. That is impressive. It just came down to the Jets. First of all, Greg Zuerlein's a problem. I feel like we've known that for a while, and he missed some more kicks in this one, missed an extra point, missed a field goal. But the Jets, at the end of the game, you've got the opportunities to go win the game, and you just don't seize them. And then ultimately, Jacoby Brissett, who is one of the slowest quarterbacks in the league, who doesn't throw the ball more than 10 yards down the field, escapes the pocket and has like a 30, 40-yard bomb to get the team inside the 10-yard line. And then they're able to march down and get the game-winning touchdown right at the end of the fourth quarter. So it's just a total lack of execution in the biggest moments by the Jets, and that's what you come to expect of this team.
The Jets had an 80.5% chance to win with 2 minutes and 14 seconds left when the Patriots had the ball at their 42-yard line, 2nd and 10, and they didn't get it done. If you're the New York Jets, where do you go from here?
Nowhere. I saw a funny tweet that said, I actually forget the team. Maybe it was the 49ers, but there's a tweet that said the 49ers should give the Jets a call about Davante Adams. Like, this is what I said when they traded for Davante. If you don't win 8 of your next 10 games and you get to the playoffs and win a playoff game, the trade's a disaster. You gave up a 3rd-round pick for this guy. It could go to a 2nd. I don't think Davante's making the all-pro team like he has to, so it's probably going to stay a 3rd-round pick. But even still, what's the point? If you miss the playoffs, you gave up a 3rd-round pick to make your quarterback happier, even though he's probably going to retire at the end of the season. It's just a disaster on all counts. And you're paying Hassan Reddick. What difference has that made? You're 2-6 now.
I wonder if they would deal him again. No chance.
No chance at all. And also the trade deadline's coming up in like a week, right? So yeah. I don't think it probably just wouldn't happen from that perspective. But also, no, you can't do that because you're admitting that you've folded on the season, which they should, but they never will.
Yeah. All right, Grant. So the Jets are done. Not much else to say. Jets fans, I feel bad for them. Really do.
I was talking to one of my buddies about this. He's an Eagles fan. But I told him, as a Commanders fan, it makes me mad that people are mad we are good now. We have not been good for my 26 years on earth. Have we not put in our dues enough? Have we not suffered? So the Commanders fans, the Browns fans, the Texans fans, and the Jets fans, I'm putting them in there. They deserve some happiness. I feel bad for those people. Now, the Jets do have maybe the most unlikable player in the NFL on their team at quarterback, so takes it back a little bit. Same with the Browns and Deshaun. But I do feel bad for the fans. It's just, I know what it's like. It sucks. You're watching your team make horrible decisions. You're watching them play bad, and things just only get worse.
All right, Grant, speaking of your team, we got Bears Commanders here. Big Hail Mary win for the Commies. And the story of this one was the dude who, I didn't even see the guy's name, I forgot, but the dude celebrating or like talking trash.
What was Tyreek Stevenson, number 29.
Dude, again, that doesn't make the difference in the game. Like, that's probably a touchdown no matter what. Like, he still gets over there in time, but it's just a terrible, terrible look that happened.
It really is. Before we talk about the game, he went on Twitter. I don't know if you saw it. He issued a little bit of an apology. What do you make of it? First of all, I guess we're just in the era where players are writing apologies 30 minutes after a game. And also, what do you think of him doing it? Do you think it was the right thing to do? Do you think he should have stayed silent? Like, what would you do?
I don't want him apologizing on Twitter. I want him making a play. You know, like that as a fan, like I don't care that you apologized on Twitter. You just let a game slip away because you're out there talking trash to the fans. Like he was legit. That looked like college football 25 when you're playing like Road to Glory mode and you can like legit celebrate, like pump the crowd up a
Yeah.
second before the play. That was so bad. And I don't need an apology on Twitter because what's done is done. I need you to probably get cut from the NFL. Like if I'm a fan, that's what I want to see. I want to see a punishment handed down. I want to see you benched. I want to see something like that, because an apology does me no good.
So Tyreek Stevenson, 24 years old. He was a second-round pick out of the University of Miami last year. The Bears drafted him. He's probably not going to get cut just because you did invest that capital so recently, but I'm with you. You bench him, don't let him play the next game, fine him internally. And honestly, if he was any other player, if he was a fourth-year player who was a sixth-round pick, yeah, he'd be off this team. He might still be off of the team, honestly. That's just, like you said, it probably doesn't make a huge difference in the grand scheme of things because he gets over and he's actually the one who got his hand on the football. But it just shows you're not locked in literally the most important play of the game. So I'm someone who always tries to, I always try to apply the same standard to every situation. And if I'm a head coach and I'm thinking my goal is to win a Super Bowl, I want my most engaged, my most trustworthy players on the field in the Super Bowl. And then I look at this as I can't trust you.
You can't cut him because it's a second round pick. But you need to send a message to him in some way. And I don't know. And if you love how he plays, and again, I don't know what his PFF grade is, but if you love how he plays, you got to keep him on the team, obviously. But if he was a dude like a second round pick, even if it's a couple years ago, and you're not getting what you need out of him, maybe trade him. I don't know. But as far as just a culture standpoint, this is bad for the culture. Whatever he was doing is bad for the culture. And if you did trade him, if you did cut him, which they're never going to cut him, he's a second round pick. But if you did make a statement, and I don't know what that statement is, which makes sense for the franchise financially, you kind of need to do it here. Whether it's not, hey, you're not going to play next week. That's fine. You know, our season's not over, but we're not in the best shape in the world. Cut him. Or not cut him. Put him on the bench.
Let's stay on that culture piece because this game and the next game we're going to talk about, the first two are kind of warm-ups. These are probably the biggest results of the weekend, the most exciting, so we'll probably spend some more time on them. But that culture piece ties into kind of what I thought one of the themes of this game was. And we will talk about what happened on the field in just a moment. But for me personally, watching this, the culture that Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury and Joe Witt Jr. and these guys have established compared to what's going on with Eberflus and Shane Waldron, you could see it in the decisions that were being made during the game and just how it played out. You know, Washington had one of the worst defenses in NFL history at the start of the year. Caleb Williams and company have been, the last 3 weeks, Caleb's been great and he's been getting better with every week. Chicago is coming off of a bye. And you go into this game and Chicago doesn't score in the first half. Caleb, with 10 minutes left in the game, Caleb had 4 completions for 36 yards. Meanwhile, this Washington defense has been getting better. I know they have not faced the toughest schedule in the world, but they've been getting better, and they've been getting better. And finally, when Chicago does get something going, they get down to the 2-3 yard line, and they hand it off to a backup offensive lineman. You know, going off of culture, this all ties into coaching decisions that you see on the field because things are usually pretty harmonious. If you have a good coaching staff, they're probably good at play calling and they're probably good at creating a good culture. If they're bad at play calling, they're bad at creating a culture. And that's what I think showed up more than anything in this game. Because again, if you're the Bears, your defense was ranked 3rd in the NFL. Washington's was 27th, 28th, whatever. You've got a full week to prepare. There's no excuse for you to lose this game, especially when Washington's quarterback is injured, does not practice throughout the week, and he gets banged up in the middle of the game. I think it was Montez Sweat. Somebody nailed him. It was a free release. He just had to put it up there knowing he's taking the hit, and Jayden stayed down on the ground. Everybody knew what was going on, and you still lose that game. It's unacceptable.
Matt Eberflus is not a good coach. We've known this. This was a known fact last season. And they did not get rid of him because he won a couple games late in the season where it's like, okay, well, maybe we'll keep him around. But when you're bringing in a whole new quarterback and a whole new regime, that is the time to cut. Like now it's not, you have to get rid of Matt Eberflus, I believe. But now is not the time to get rid of him after bringing in Caleb Williams because that messes with his development and growth. You had to get rid of him before you drafted Caleb Williams because it's only going to make things harder on the quarterback. Look at Trevor Lawrence. great quarterback. Trevor Lawrence has all the intangibles to be a great quarterback, but the coaching changes and how his career has developed has not helped him a lot. However, he still looks okay considering he's had so many changes at the coaching position or at his head coach. But right now with Caleb Williams, this is a critical time for his development. And if you fire Eberflus, like, you need to find your guy right away because you've already wasted 1 year under an old coaching staff.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. And Caleb Williams, if he develops to Trevor Lawrence level, well, you're looking at as a huge miss on what could have been throughout the draft process and everything. And when he was winning the Heisman at USC, Caleb Williams was Patrick Mahomes 2.0. That was the vision. This is somebody who is going to break the NFL. We've got a guy who's on pace to be the GOAT right now, and we think this guy can be better than him. That was the trajectory for him. And Caleb's, it's a rookie year. I don't judge rookies too harshly based on their first season. And he has shown promise. I'm not trying to take any of that away from him, but I'm with you. If you give him for the first 2-3 years of his career with Eberflus and Shane Waldron, well, he's not going to become anywhere near that type of player. He might follow the Trevor Lawrence trajectory where he's like a 10th to 13th best quarterback in the NFL. But if that happens, then it's a huge miss.
I don't believe we should start putting these labels on quarterbacks, like greatest quarterback prospect of this generation, into anything, because it usually doesn't work out. You could be the best quarterback in the world coming in the NFL. There's a better chance that you fail than if you succeed. And if you look at some of the quarterbacks in the NFL right now who start, I don't know, like, let's see, Baker Mayfield, and I know Baker's thrown some picks, like Justin Herbert. These are not Bo Nix yet, but Brock Purdy, like guys that you wouldn't necessarily think they'd have the best professional career based on how things have gone, whether it's a college or early in the NFL, but like they've become reputable starters. Like if you draft a quarterback in the first round and they become a reputable starter, that was a good pick because that's what we can expect. When we start labeling these guys as the greatest quarterback prospects and all this, it usually fails because the expectations are way too high. It's so hard to be a quarterback in the NFL.
I agree. Let's talk about what actually happened in this game. So I don't know what your takeaway was, and I do want to hear it. For me, this looked like a situation where the better team was going to lose. I thought Washington was fully in control of this game. Jayden was moving the ball up and down the field. The Washington running game was taking effect. I wanted to give the Bears defense credit for their red zone defense. I was watching this game with my girlfriend, and I said, the easiest way to lose NFL games, kick field goals in the red zone. That's how you lose. So Chicago deserves credit for that. Their defense, Washington could not punch it in the end zone. Granted, they had some penalties down there. Got a little bit unfortunate. They had 2 penalties wiped out or 2 touchdowns wiped out because of penalties. Zach Ertz also apparently dropped a pass that kind of looked like a catch to me, but whatever. Chicago's defense did do its job. Caleb was awful for 3 quarters, truly awful. His offensive line did not give him a lot, but when he did have the time, he was missing throws. They couldn't run the ball. And then DeAndre Swift, 50 yards. Chicago had 1 good play in the first, 3.5 quarters. And it was that Swift touchdown run. And all of a sudden, you're only down 5. That even if Washington goes on to make a field goal, it's still a 1-score game. And Washington actually goes and misses a field goal. And again, I was watching this game with her, and I said, this is over. The Bears are going to win this. You've been Washington. You've been in a position to win for way too long. You haven't taken advantage of it. And to Caleb's credit, I still think Jayden outplayed him, but to Caleb's credit, when it was time to win the game, he made some unbelievable throws. There was a deep corner route for about 20, 25 yards to DJ Moore where he got rocked, but that got him within the 10-yard line. He extended plays with his feet. He avoided a bunch of sacks. And although he did not have a touchdown, he only had a QBR of 36, completed 37% of his passes. Again, the final 6 minutes of the game, he was great. So if I'm a Bears fan, I'm saying, okay, we know our guy can start off slow, but he is showing the mental toughness that is necessary when we get in these foxhole games that we can look at him and we can count on him.
I think the Bears should have won the game. Like whenever you're relying on a 60, 70-yard Hail Mary, 50, 60, whatever it was, you should win the game. That should never happen. I think I agree with your take 100% on Caleb Williams. Didn't play well, but made throws down the stretch. The better team, who was the Washington Commanders, I thought they were going to lose. You need to be better in the red zone than they were. But Jayden Daniels, 21 to 38, 326, 1 touchdown compared to Caleb Williams. No matter if Williams stepped up in the big moments or not, overall, the Commanders still had the better performance. So it's tough to take away. Like, the Bears were in a position to win the game. They didn't do it. But when you look at Washington overall, how they played the entire football game, they deserve to win. So I think the Commanders are a better team. I think the Bears are not a bad team. I just don't think they're there right now. Like, this is not their season. I think they need a coaching change. And I think Dan Quinn has done an amazing job. And we're seeing it with the Cowboys right now. Mike Zimmer defensively is terrible. Dan Quinn created a culture of guys that want to run through a brick wall and create that culture of just knowing what they're doing on the football field. Mike Zimmer's not doing that.
I remember, I think it was a clip from Micah Parsons' podcast, and I forget who he was talking to, but I remember him saying something along the lines of, hey, you remember what it was like playing for DQ. DQ had you feeling like you could do anything. So that's an admission from a player. And Micah divulges some secrets on his podcast he probably shouldn't. That was probably one of them. But yeah, I'm with you. The better team was Washington. Chicago should have won, but Washington won. So it's if you're a Bears fan, you're kind of in this weird spot. I don't know what you take from this. And again, because it was off a bye week, it kind of makes it an even tougher pill to swallow. Looking at their upcoming schedule, it's about to get kind of tough for them. If I can get my computer to load here, they've got the Cardinals next week, which all of a sudden is not an easy game. Arizona's first in the NFC West, I think, by way of tiebreaker. You've got the Patriots after that, but then it's a tough run. Packers, Vikings, Lions, Niners, Vikings, Lions, Seahawks, Packers. It's a tough stretch up ahead for Chicago. They're gonna learn about themselves because right now they only have, I think, no wins against a team with more than 2 wins on the season.
And 0-3 on the road right now. So, and again, this is a game they should have won based on how the final play should have gone probability wise, but they didn't get the job done. They didn't play that well. Are we ready to move on, Grant, to the Cowboys?
Yeah, and I imagine we're gonna yap a little bit about this one too.
Well, you look at the Cowboys right now, and they're not playing anywhere near what they're capable of playing. Defensively, they don't look good. They look like they don't want to be there. This is a game like the Bengals. They went into the locker room with a lead at the half. They looked like the authority at the half, and then they gave up, I believe, 21 points in the third quarter. Dak threw a terrible interception. They don't start playing till the fourth quarter when they're down 3 scores. Like, that's just how they've been this season. They've had some really good, if you're like live betting the Cowboys in the fourth quarter, you probably made money considering they come back and make games close, but they're never actually close. Even though last night they go drive the field, they had 3 minutes to go drive the field, 60, 70 yards. They were going to win the football game.
This is what happens with them. They do this all the time. They have fake comebacks in the fourth quarter. Normally, they don't get the chance to go win the game. So this one looked like it could have been different. And then, like you said, they just make nothing of it. Dak did have a great throw on third down. I will say that. But the quarterback is not the only person who has to execute on your team. The offensive line's got to execute. The running back's got to hold up in pass pro, and your receivers have to catch the ball. So, yes, maybe that one play was not on Dak, but it was just a sign that this team, they're front runners when they're winning, and when they're losing, they're gonna go fall helplessly behind. Like you said, they lose the third quarter 21-0, and then they mount this fake comeback that never matters. You know, this is how Dak is able to lead the league in passing yards. This is how he's able to get 300-400 yards every week, because he's throwing for a bunch of garbage yards when nobody's looking. He finishes with 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. You look at that, you think that's not that bad. But then it was no touchdowns, 2 interceptions when the game was really in the balance, and he was handing the ball to San Francisco and say, hey, you guys go win it. I don't feel like winning it right now. I'm with you. The Dallas defense could be a lot better. I understand they're missing some key players over there, but still, when you're up 10-6 on the road, Dallas, I believe, was also off of a bye in this game. You just got to win this game. This is the team, the Niners team, that has been your kryptonite recently. They're down several key players. You got a halftime lead. You have to win that game. There is no excuse.
I don't love the call, though. I know Dak dropped it in there, but I don't, on 3rd and 10, when you got time, I don't necessarily love the call going deep to the sideline. Like, it was an unbelievable throw, but it would have been an unbelievable catch too. Like, you got to get 4 or 5 yards there and set yourself up for 4th down, I think, because if you don't hit that play, and the probability of catching that ball down the sideline, and it was going to be a tiptoe catch on the sideline too. We forget about his feet.
Yeah, 100%.
You don't make that your 4th and 10. you know?
No, I'm with you. And actually tying this back to the Bears game, but I think it was after the Swift run, maybe on their final scoring drive. It was 3rd and like 5 or 6 or something like that on the Washington side of the field. And they called a QB draw. And they just, I think it might have been longer than that. I think it might have been 30 at 3rd and 8. And they just said, hey, we we have DJ Moore, we have Keenan Allen, we have Roma Dunze, we have DeAndre Swift, Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett, all of these guys. No, let's go QB draw. And it didn't work. They got a couple of yards. Now they picked up the 4th down, but it's the same thing. It's like, okay, you're hoping for a big play here. This is not the time where you're trying to catch the defense guessing. In this situation, if you give this ball back to San Francisco, you're not getting it back. The game is over. Or if you get it back, you're down at least 9 because they're going to kick a field goal. So the game is over if this doesn't convert. I'm with you. 4, 5, 6, 7 yards. You have time. That's not an issue. They got the ball with more than 3 minutes left. There is no need to go that deep. So with you, absolutely great throw. But like you said, would have been a great catch. And when you're counting on both of those things at the same time, you're tempting fate.
Yeah, definitely. And like looking at the Cowboys right now, the season is probably done. I don't see Dallas making a run. They don't strike me as a team that's very good. But Mike McCarthy will most likely get fired at the end of the season. However, he will be probably one of the quickest hires on the market, I would think, because he's under Jerry Jones right now. I don't think it's very hard to succeed under Jerry Jones. I think Mike McCarthy is a very good football coach. If he was in a different spot, he would have more success. I mean, he's won the Super Bowl with Green Bay. And then he's had success with the Cowboys. He just hasn't won the playoffs. So I think he will land very quickly. And I think getting fired is probably the best thing for his coaching career right now.
So this is quite interesting. I just went to FanDuel to check out some odds to make the playoffs. Dallas Cowboys currently off the board, as are the San Francisco 49ers. There are no odds for them at the time we're recording this to make or miss the playoffs.
So I wouldn't read into that too much because, like, since they played later, like trading wise, they just haven't got it up yet. Because, like, last week when the Buccaneers, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin got hurt, they didn't put their win total up all week. They didn't put any playoff odds up all week because they need to see how they came out and played. Now they have them up at 8.5, and they were at 7.5 originally. So I wouldn't read into that, but I would think the Cowboys are not going to make the playoffs. If the Commanders and the Eagles make the playoffs, they're not making it.
No way. You're not getting 3 teams. At the start of the year, I said you were only going to get 1 team. I think that's over. I think you're getting at least 2, but you're not getting 3. The Bengals, because we were talking about them earlier, they are minus 144 to miss the playoffs. The Bears are now minus 385 to miss the playoffs. That's despite being 4-3. It's just the NFC North is so tough. Like, you've got basically no chance of winning it. And then for them to get in, they might have to be the 4th wild card team from one division.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard.
And then I guess just also kind of an indication of what the Cowboys odds to make the playoffs are. What I say the Bengals were minus 144 to miss.
Yeah, it's miss. Yeah.
So the Bengals are plus 3,900 to win the Super Bowl. The Cowboys are plus 5,000. So you've got to imagine, Cowboys looking at like minus 190, minus 200 to miss the playoffs right now.
Yeah. It's a bad time for Dallas. This just isn't their year, and they sign Dak. They get him a long-term deal. You got to get a new coach in there, most likely. I don't think Mike McCarthy can win there. I don't know if any coach can win there with Jerry Jones. So, and that's the overwhelming consensus when you read Twitter from Cowboys fans. Like, Jerry is the problem.
And I'm the opposite of Cowboys Twitter, right? Like, I'm a Commanders fan. I'm with them. I agree. I don't think you can't fire Jerry. He's the owner. But if you take Jerry out, you get a new general manager in, they wouldn't be good next year either. The roster is it's been assembled in a way that the next few years, I think they're going to fall on hard times. In 2-3 years, if they retool it the correct way, Dak is still at Dak's best. He's hitting his head on like the top 5 conversation. At his best, not all the time. If you get the right team in there, you've got the defensive support, the right coaching staff, Dallas could still be a very good team, but it's just not going to happen with Jerry calling the shots the way he is.
No, I mean, it's a different era of football. Jerry was obviously a good general manager at one point. He obviously was. He's won Super Bowls. He's just too involved and too much going on. He's a businessman too. So it's very hard to It's very hard to put the blame on anyone but him because he is the guy calling the shots. And we know Mike McCarthy's a good coach. We know Dak Prescott can play quarterback. Like, we know CeeDee Lamb's a great receiver. They have offensive line. Like, Zach Martin's getting a little old. I'm not going to lie about that. But overall, the team, there's pieces there that should be better than what they're putting out in the field.
Giants, Steelers tonight, Tanner. Give me the final score. We're recording on Thursday. Tell me what the final score will be when we come back.
This could be the game where the Steelers slip up a little bit. I don't think that happens. I think the Steelers win by a field goal.
Okay, so I actually don't know what the spread is, but I would imagine
6.
that would be the Giants covering.
Yeah, Giants would cover. I think Steelers win by a field goal. I think it's going to be tighter. Just Pittsburgh coming off the greatest game they could have played last week against the Jets. I think little downhill slide. I don't know if Russ is as good as we saw. We'll see. But I think Steelers by a field goal.
I think I'm with you. I think I actually like the Giants are 5.5 point dogs here. The line's at 36.5. I'd probably still go under. Russ, even though he had a really good box score, did only complete 55% of his passes, didn't look sharp at the beginning. And I also think the Giants aren't going to provide much offense in this game at all. So Pittsburgh should probably be able to run the ball, not really take too many chances. I would look at Russ under 200 passing yards. I'm going to say Steelers win. Let's go. What I'm trying to think of what this would be. Let's go
17-13.
Let's go 16. Let's go 16-13.
Yeah,
you said 17-13.
I don't know if the Giants can score 13 against the Steelers defense. The Steelers defense is really good. Daniel Jones could have a really rough night, but I do think it's going to be closer than because the Steelers, as good as they are in defense, they're still not an explosive offense one bit. So that just takes away their ability to blow out teams.
Yeah, and George Pickens, as good as he was, it's funny because we're saying all this now. We'll know what happens on Thursday. George Pickens still only had 5 catches in his best game of the year. It was his best game of the year, but it's when you're only touching the ball 5 times, you're not making a huge impact unless you're getting these huge explosive plays. And he did in that game, but it's probably not going to happen every week.
No. But Grant, that was Ride the Line for October 28th.
And what are you dressing up for as Halloween this year?
I'm not dressing up as anything.
Are you handing out candy?
No, I'm actually going to Disney this week. Really excited about that.
You're always in Florida.
Well, I am always in Florida, but I'm running the half marathon down there for the
that's fun. That's awesome.
Wine and Dine half marathon. So yeah, it'll be good. But so I'm actually in Disney for Halloween. One of the reasons I probably wanted to go there for Halloween with my girlfriend, so I don't have to dress up in a stupid ass costume. So like I could just wear shorts to the park and be good.
Well, you could wear your costume during the half marathon. There are people who do that.
I know, yeah, there are people who do that. It's just the weirdest thing ever. That's so weird. I'm sorry. Like I don't know why you'd want to do that. Like because I've done a couple of the races down there and I I try to run them. Like I don't just sit there and take pictures, but the people that wear like like the running tutus, that's fine. Like that works. But like the dudes that dress up at like Goofy and stuff running, I'm like, what are you doing, man?
A couple of my buddies just did the Marine Corps marathon, and it was their first marathon. It was just on Sunday.
That's cool. Yeah, that's I want to do that one. That one looks fun.
Though apparently it wasn't as bad as it looks. It looks kind of hilly online when you're looking at it, but they said it wasn't bad at all.
All right. Well, I'm going to do that one. I might do they have an ultra there. It's like what they do. They go like 27 miles or 28 miles or something. Or they do a 50K. I don't know. I think they added that on a few years ago.
At the Marine Corps?
Yeah, they added on like an extra couple miles for to make it an ultra for some, if you want to do that, I think.
I didn't know that, but I know there are a bunch of 50Ks, 50 milers in the area. It's DC. Like stuff's always going on.
All right, Grant, take us out of here.
Guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Ride the Line. Tanner and I appreciate you all joining us. Before you click off, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well. Jump in the comments. Let us know we're wrong about Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, even though we've been right all season. We will catch you all in the next episode of Ride the Line.